Welcome to my Conscious Podcast. I'm Jessica Klingsborg, and this is a podcast where we dive into our inner worlds and the incredible skills hidden inside us. It is a space for honest and meaningful conversations where our guests share their stories and insights from their life experiences and journeys of self-discovery. In this episode, you will get to know more about the journey of Dr. Kalpana Sundar. She's a pioneer in medicine, entrepreneurship, and coaching. Running her own facial plastic surgery practice in Florida, she was diagnosed with thyroid cancer, sparking a journey of reinvention. Listen to a story of resilience and how she aims to inspire and empower women to live their lives unapologetically. Dr. Kalpana Sundar has made a significant impact in the fields of medicine, entrepreneurship, and coaching. Her dedication to empowering women is evident in her remarkable journey, which she refers to as Unbound. Through her personal experiences, Dr. Sundar has demonstrated the power of breaking free from societal expectations and living an authentic life. Dr. Sundar is highly accomplished in her medical career with board certifications in head and neck surgery and facial plastic surgery. After completing her residency, she founded a successful ear, nose, and throat practice and medical spa in San Augustine, Florida. However, her path took an unexpected turn when she was diagnosed with thyroid cancer early in her medical practice. This challenging experience forced her to reassess the balance between her career and personal life, leading to periods of burnout. Driven by resilience and a desire for greater fulfillment in life, Dr. Sundar embarked on a journey of reinvention. Her mission is to empower women through her transformative talks, her book Beauty Unbound, and her retreat Shakti Unbound. She addresses issues of beauty and life balance, equipping women with the tools and insights they need to unlock their true potential. Outside of her professional pursuits, Dr. Sundar resides in San Diego, California, where she enjoys pursuing her passions for travel, fashion, race cars, and Krav Maga, martial arts. This diverse range of personal interests showcases her commitment to living life to the fullest. Dr. Kalpana Sundar's life is a true proof of the transformative power of breaking free from societal norms, pursuing one's true passion, and empowering women to achieve their utmost potential. Her journey is a source of inspiration for all, and she serves as a prime example of living life unbound. Ooh, that was a long bio, but your life is a grand extension version of that. How are you?
Yeah.
Welcome.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I know that is a long bio. I was like, well, I guess I got to shorten it, but it's hard to fit all this life experience into 2 paragraphs or something.
Yes, and absolutely nothing should be excluded because, I mean, every single thing is what made you where you are today.
True, very true.
I mean,
And I'm so glad to be here with you. And I'm so excited that you're on this journey with this podcast. And I've been watching your episodes. So congratulations.
Well, thank you. And I'm so honored to have you as a guest. And I mean, I'm learning by doing. And it's fun to learn with great people like you. We met in Barcelona last year.
Yes.
In
It's
October.
crazy. Yes.
We were both speakers at a women's conference.
Mm-hmm.
And I was really fascinated by your story. You have such a presence on stage as well. And, you know, it felt like you were talking only to me, and the room was full of women. And I think I was hearing other people saying the same. You have that thing that you connect.
Oh, that's so kind of you to say. I just felt like it was such an amazing experience for me to be there. I have told other people since then that I feel like I have another little family, in Barcelona, which just feels so good. All the women there, you and I really connected beautifully, but everybody there was just so nice and so wonderful, so welcoming. And I spent my birthday there. We all celebrated my birthday together too.
It's true.
And I just remember thinking or feeling that I would feel lonely or sad that I wasn't at home with other people. And I was like, you know what? I found a new family to celebrate my birthday with. So it was wonderful.
It was wonderful. And you are a coach, you are a speaker, you are an author.
Yes.
And you love your life, You love to get up in the morning. You look forward to every day now, but it was not always like that.
No, it was not. And I have to say that that's where I see the contrast in my life so greatly. And, there are, of course, days that I'm a little tired and don't want to get up.
Yeah,
Today
but you
was
know what I
probably
mean.
one of them. Yeah, today was one of them. I was just, it's just been a busy week, and I just felt a little, so I allowed myself the grace of maybe laying there an extra 10 minutes. But I would say that every day I wake up with a joy and a zest for life that I did not have before. And so much of that I attribute to really doing that work to identify who I am, what I need, self mastery to a level that I can very easily choose what's in alignment for me and what isn't. And that I feel that this understanding of yourself will literally ripple into every aspect of your life. The relationships that you have, your financial well-being, your career, your health, all of it. And that's really what I'm aiming to show other women, that through this self-mastery, we can really identify what's in alignment and what's not. And there's a lot less confusion about it.
Yeah. But what was it, if we go back in time, what was it that made you reflect and made that full stop to really switch, to awaken and thinking, wow, I'm not on my path here, and
Well,
to do
I
that
think,
shift?
yeah, it was during my medical, practice. I'd been doing it for 20 years. I felt like a robot, just a cog in a wheel, just doing the same stuff every day. I wasn't really present in my life. So I was just doing all the things and, being as present and as engaged as I could be. But I don't know, there was this disconnection that I felt from myself to everything around me. I don't know. I just felt very lost. And, this continued for many, many years. And I didn't understand why I felt so lost and so confused and so disconnected from everything. And all of a sudden, I knew that I had to do some things to make a change in my life, not only for myself, but for the sake of my children. I didn't want them to see that this is what life is about. And I thought, what will I teach them if I keep living this life, staying married in a marriage that wasn't serving me, staying in a career that wasn't really serving me or allowing me to reach my greatest potential? What will I show my children? I remember having that thought, and I said, I got to change something, because I also was like suicidal almost every day. I would fight I shouldn't say
You
suicidal.
had these stories inhabiting your mind.
Yeah, I didn't really I was afraid to do it, I would say, but I really just wished that I could just be dead. So I didn't want to be
Ooh.
here, and I didn't want to continue the way that I was. And I couldn't figure out why this happy life that looked so great on paper was leading me to such dissatisfaction. So I knew something was really wrong. If you want to not wake up every day, there's something very wrong, and you have to look into it.
Yes.
So I knew that something needed to change, and I couldn't figure out what needed to change first. And I knew that I had to get a divorce, and it was a really hard decision because we were together 27 years and we had a family and a life and a business, and everything was so intertwined.
Yeah.
How do you extricate yourself from that? So that was the first very, very difficult part of my journey. And yeah, and then I just took one step at a time after that. But that was the first huge, huge step.
But also, you choose the road of medicine, but you're not working as with this anymore.
No. So
Were
I
you
knew that
living
I needed,
your parents' expectations and dreams, or finding out during
yeah,
life what was your own, and maybe that didn't was not the case?
right. So because I was really not even authentic. So what I realized now is, like, when I met my ex-husband, I wasn't even the authentic version of myself. So how could I attract a genuinely authentic relationship? So I couldn't figure out how to put that into words that I didn't understand at that moment. I was like, well, he's not a bad man. He's a good father. He's a good husband. He wasn't cheating. I couldn't figure out a reason except that somehow I was miserable and unhappy. And it's not his fault. It's because I entered into this relationship when I didn't know myself. So how could I choose what's in alignment for me when I don't know that? So, once I figured that out, I knew that the medicine step was the next big one, but at least I had
To
a
support yourself.
income and
Yeah.
then support. So I was like, I could address that second. And I think there's a choice for women when multiple things are not going right, that we have to choose which one we have to fix first.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you can be self-sufficient and independent while doing it, it's a big plus, of course. And with having kids, how old were your kids at the time?
19 and 16. So luckily they were old enough to at least understand what was happening. And, they were old enough where I don't think it really affected them as much as divorce tends to with most kids.
But that journey is a lonely journey when you start to dig deep in yourself and finding out things about yourself late in life that has been there hidden since forever, the blueprint. How was that to scrape on the surface? And
I struggle. It's funny that you use the word lonely, because that is probably my biggest challenge that I struggle with. Even I literally, to this day, I'm trying to figure it out. But I came across, honestly, probably in the last day or two, I came to a huge revelation. When I am not in alignment with certain people, things don't work out well. I don't feel that vested in the relationship. Maybe they don't either. I can't speak for anybody else. There's a loneliness that will ensue even while you're in communication with those people. And then the break happens and it feels lonely. But you know what? Every time those people have left my life, new and people that are more in alignment keep coming in. And I have noticed this repeatedly. And I've noticed that the faster I can let the people go that I know are not in alignment, the faster the right people show up. And I've been experimenting with this for quite some time. And it is really true. Recently, I let go of quite a few people that were just not in alignment. They were very fear-based, or they weren't respectful to me in ways that I'm respectful to them. That just doesn't work. It doesn't make me feel good. And now I'm just letting it go quickly with love. I mean, I have no animosity towards them. I just saying I just feel like we're not aligned or whatever. And I move forward, and it's almost immediately the new people pop into my life.
That's amazing. But this thing that when we outgrow our old version, the old friends also start to miss that old version. And that is a tricky...
because it's their comfort zone, right? Because they're comfortable with you as the way you were. They're comfortable seeing you as your old self. And when you want to change, it's uncomfortable for them, I feel. And that might be why these have to shed. I don't know, but I've thought about it a lot.
No, but it's more them who chooses, because there also exist the friends that actually support you in the journey and who love to see you thrive and become your authentic self. And those friends are priceless.
100%. And I can always tell, because they don't care they don't care about what I'm doing. Or, it's funny, when I had my show launch with Gloves Off, and, I can't wait for you to be a guest on that soon. When that launched, it's funny, a lot of people didn't even care. There were people who just didn't care to watch it. Interesting.
Not even curious. I would dive. I was
of course
diving into it and looking at it immediately when you told me.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I'm saying. So it's funny how that one action shows me so much about who's in alignment and who isn't. I have a really good friend of mine who is on the East Coast, and for her, the show is late, so she could just watch it on stream. But I tell you, she stays up. Every Sunday night, she wakes up super early on Monday morning, but she stays up every weekend and watches my show when it's airing. It's the cutest thing.
Well, of course. It's so nice to see one of her friends having her own show. Yeah. I can't wait to be a guest either on it. It's going to be so much fun.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. When you probably launched your podcast, there were people who, were really, really supportive, and other ones who are like, well, I think that's a real telling sign.
Yeah, many people why do you do a podcast? Because I enjoy it. And it's I would love to share these stories of people that has done, inner shifts and reinvented themselves just like yourself, and put
Hmm.
those voices out there, because we need to hear the stories to feel that lonely path, we are not alone. There are other
Right.
people. And it's
And
also
we
to find the others and the like-minded to connect with.
and create that sense of community to feel not alone. And I think that's really it. When we are aligned with the right people in our lives, we don't feel alone. And there may be temporary moments of loneliness, which I think every human being that walks this earth will feel at some time or another, whether you're in a relationship or whether you're not. It doesn't matter. I think we all feel that loneliness. My recent revelation is maybe that sense of loneliness comes from our own disconnection with ourself at moments.
Yeah. Yes.
And that was the revelation I had the other day. When I feel lonely, I haven't done the self-care. I haven't connected with myself in a deep and meaningful way. And the
Yeah.
minute that corrects, weirdly, nothing else could have shifted in my life. I mean,
No,
but
it's
I don't
ourselves.
feel alone. Like, what a revelation. I wish I'd known that 25 years ago.
Yeah, but you did spend some, solitary time, right?
Hmm.
When you choose to like discover, it's a way to find your way back to your inner voice, to hear it.
Hmm. Yes. I
And that
go
is
through
also to get
phases.
away from the noise,
Right. Right.
to really
And
hear, because we live in busy cities and there we
right.
have a
And
hectic career and professional life. And sometimes that is also why I think for people who live in cities, it's difficult to maybe pick up to that connection with themselves.
I would
If you
agree.
don't have any connection with nature or taking this time for mindfulness.
Oh, it's so true. And when I moved, so I lived in Florida. Of course, there's a lot of nature and there's beautiful things in Florida, but it was so hot and humid for me, and the bugs were a detriment that I really didn't spend that much time outside. And my windows were never open. I didn't really breathe the fresh air because it was humid. So I noticed that even though I lived in a quote unquote place where there's a lot of nature, I didn't interact with nature as much as I do now. And now, I mean, I can go out at any time of the day because it's not hot, it's not humid. My windows are always open,
And
and
San
I feel
Diego is a precious place.
ah, like it
Yeah.
has really changed my life in such a beautiful way because of that, and it's significant what that did for me.
Yeah, you changed it. So, I mean, you did a choice to go there. I mean,
Yes,
it just didn't happen by itself.
that's
You did a
true.
conscious choice to move there.
Yes. And people thought I was crazy. And a lot of people questioned my decision and wondered if I'd really just, why do I need to be so impulsive? I heard lots of different things. Why would I move to California when everybody else is moving to Florida? I'm like, well, you know what? I got to go where I think it feels in alignment for me. And if it isn't, I'll come back. Well, it's almost 6 months I've been here. I have no intention of going back. I really like it here.
No. But when you were working with this plastic surgery and beauty and surface,
Hmm.
and to then make a deep dive within, way beyond that beauty, that contrast, how was that to work with something so, well, in a way superficial, because people just want to be perfect, and on the other, underneath, there's something else going on. How can you balance that in life? Because I mean, beauty is okay, and
Hmm.
unless it becomes the first. Beauty
Right.
comes from within. It's a cliche, but the cliches exist for some reason.
I would agree with that wholeheartedly. There is a lot in the aesthetics industry that is not great. You know, there are providers and doctors and nurses who provide a lot of aesthetic treatments and really don't counsel the patients appropriately. I always had a very holistic approach to that, and I wouldn't actually treat patients that I could tell. I have really great instincts and I'm very good with people. So if I could tell somebody was suffering or struggling with something else, I would really not want to treat them with cosmetic treatments. So I always like everybody to be reasonably emotionally healthy. Nobody's perfectly emotionally healthy, and
Oh,
can't happen. But I need them to be at a certain level before I would actually treat them. What I find is that there are a lot of conscious aesthetic providers. So it's a beautiful thing when it's in alignment, meaning that so for example, I've had treatments done and I have no problems admitting it. But for me, it's about aligning myself with how good I feel on the inside and to look the same on the outside. I feel if I looked at a face that looked 20, 30 years older than I feel, that would make me feel sad. And in the inside, I really feel 30-ish. So I feel like when I look in the mirror, that's like, I don't care about how old I look. I just want to feel like I look like the best, healthiest, vibrant version of myself. So I think everybody has to find that for themselves. And, and I believe the beautiful thing is there's a lot in Beverly Hills about people who look really fake and unusual, but we're really getting away from that. I work a lot with aesthetic providers still. I do consulting and medical directorships, and I only will work with providers that address it in that way. They're very conscious. They're very, very holistic. So I think it gets a bad rap, and rightly so. There's a lot of crap that's been out there over the years, but I really do think the industry is changing for the better.
Hopefully. Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah.
Because we
don't want to play on people's insecurities. Like that's what the lower vibration people used to do, play on your insecurities, make you feel insecure so you can buy more stuff. That is the worst thing to do. And I never did that. And I don't work with anybody who ever does that, which is a huge thing.
Yeah. And there's these kind of people, they always say getting older. And I think it's more beautiful to say that we grow older because we grow all our life, like inner growth. Yeah.
And I don't even want to go back to 20 years ago where I felt so confused and so confused. That's probably the best word I can think of. And disconnected. I'd so much rather be in this beautiful, heart-centered, peaceful place that I am now and be my age, for sure.
No, me too. I sign for that. I mean, we are becoming all our life. Our beings are a becoming. And I mean, to know yourself more along the journey. I think that is what is more beautiful, growing older.
100%. And we don't need to feel like it's a bad thing, right? Like
no, on the contrary, we are lucky to be here as long as possible, right?
100%. And that was a wake-up call for me because, when I had the thyroid cancer, I almost died. I'm pretty sure I talked about it in that talk that I did in Barcelona. But then
that must also have been a shift for you, like before and after.
I buried it for so long, even after it happened. But then wanting to not wake up in the morning was really a tragic thought to have after I almost died. And that was when I knew I had to change
that was
something.
After you got cured, that you had those feelings?
It was 10 years after, because we can bury trauma and we can bury things for so long until they just pop right up again.
Yes, of course. This thing that time heals is bullshit because it's only hiding it even more. So you have to heal yourself.
It can heal. Time can heal if you take active measures to understand.
But you are the one who makes sure with the time to heal yourself. You can just not wait for it to happen. I mean.
Right. Yeah. And I didn't know that even needed to be addressed because our medical training teaches us to suppress our own emotions. And that's how we're trained in this country, to suppress our emotions. If you feeling emotional, like you're not going to go say that to anybody, especially as a woman in a surgical residency. You're not going to tell anybody you got any emotional issues. Forget it.
No, it must have been a man's dominated world there too, in the hierarchic medical care. So that must have been also a tough one.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
So I basically had my surgery, almost died, and literally just came back to work like nothing happened because I didn't know what else to do. I wasn't going to ask for help. I wasn't going to tell people I was going through anything because what would they think of me? I was kind of new there. And I was like, well, I don't want this to be my reputation. So I just stuffed it all down and just moved on. 10 years later, it kind of started to creep back up and I was like, whoa, what's going on? Why do I feel anxious? Why do I feel like this? And that's when I had to deal with it.
Yeah. And then you wrote a book about it.
Yes.
Beauty Unbound.
Yes.
And how was it to write that book? Was it like a therapy at the same time,
Yes,
writing it
it's
all
funny.
down?
I wrote so many versions of the book before I knew what
Really?
I even wanted to write about. I started with I knew I wanted to write a book, and I think that process went on for 6 or 7 years. I'd scrap one version. I'm like, that isn't it. That isn't it. That isn't it. Then I finally got a ghostwriter to write it. And I was like, I just don't know what to do. I'm just going to get somebody else to write the book. Well, it really helped because it helped organize my thoughts and like what things should be in the book and what things shouldn't be in the book. But at the end of the day, I scrapped it. And I said, I got to write my own story. It doesn't feel like me, even though they claim that they can write it in your voice. The
Yeah.
reality is they can't. So and not to say anything negative about ghostwriters, I think there's a place, but my version of my story would needed to be really raw. And I realized I was avoiding going through the emotions that it took to write the book. And then
Yeah.
finally in COVID, I don't know, I had nothing but time on my hands and a lot of reflection happened. And that's when I finished the book with my own heart and soul and my tears, stopping when I couldn't emotionally go on any further, picking it up another day. Then I finished the book.
Wow. So COVID must have been quite special for you, like for everyone. But I mean, also to complete this book, this story, to get it on
Right.
print.
Yes.
Wow.
And then it didn't publish for another like 2 or 3 or 4 years still. I still kept it on the back
Why?
burner.
Were you doubting of releasing it or?
I had some whatever, like I didn't know why, but I just kept making excuses like, oh, I don't know how to market it, blah, blah, blah. All these things that they tell you need to do with a book. And it all felt so technical and it didn't feel right to me. So, excuse me, got something in my throat.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I realized that sometimes you just do things and you wait for the next inspiration to hit. So the book was done. I didn't know how to finalize the cover. I wanted to self-publish because I didn't want my story to be marketable. I don't know. I've just heard so many stories like it's got to be marketable. I didn't want to change my story. Didn't want to mess with it. So I found somebody to help me get the cover done and all the other like nitty-gritty details that I didn't know how to do. And that's when I published the book with no agenda, with no marketing plan, with none of that. Because you know what? That didn't, and it still doesn't feel authentic to me. People ask me all the time,
No.
what's your marketing plan? I'm like, I don't know. I don't care. It's my story. It's out there.
And how was it received by family, friends? What has been
Wonderfully.
the?
So
Yeah.
I haven't had family read it because my family and I are kind of disconnected. So like they probably haven't read it. And my brother's read it and I know, but my rest of my family members probably won't read it. I don't even know if I want them to. It just really is very
Your
raw.
sons, they are grown up today, men.
Yeah, I don't think they've read it,
Maybe they don't want to read about the inner secrets of their mom.
Probably, and that's okay. Like I think people are called to read it or not read it based on whatever. But the other people who have read it I've just been the best comments that I receive are people tell me that it resonated with them and it was very raw, it was very emotional, and they enjoyed how that was presented. So I was like, all right, well good. That's what I meant to do. So great, I accomplished that.
Oh, that's nice. So raw means that you're very truthful and very naked in it.
Yeah. And you know
Yeah.
what? These days, everybody claims they're a number one bestseller. I don't know if you've noticed that, but it's a huge pet peeve of mine. I'm like, really? Are we?
Really?
Every person I talk to, every author I've spoken to tells me they're a number one bestseller. And I was like, how
Okay.
many number ones can there be? So I don't know. I'm just not going to say all that kind of stuff. I don't care.
I think it is the land of the America, the land of the dream.
Yeah, I'm
So
not
maybe
going
they
to.
say it there.
Yeah, they say it here all the time. I've interviewed so many people, and everybody's an international number one bestseller. And I was like, okay, whatever. I don't care. Like, that's not my goal with this book. Like, I feel like if it can help somebody to understand themselves better, if it resonates with them, that was my purpose and that was my goal.
Hmm.
I, the universe will provide whatever's supposed to happen. I give it away a lot. People buy it. It doesn't matter to me. It just matters that it was the truth and it was authentic and it's out there for people if they want it.
Yeah, of course. And then You should also, Shakti Unbound is a retreat that you have created after the book. And it's
Yes.
also with Unbound.
Yes.
So can you
So
tell us a
Unbound.
little bit about what is this retreat
Yes, yes. So
about?
Unbound is my brand of being untethered to things. And, you know, it's a work in progress for me every day because I work on all aspects of being untethered to final outcomes. So I believe, well, and this is something that's been talked about over and over again in Buddhism and Hinduism, just to be untethered to outcomes is where your true peace lies. And I'm working really, really hard to get there. And I have to say, every day I'm closer and closer. So I love that. And so my Unbound is really a modern version of that. To be untethered, to be peaceful in your own self, in your own soul. So Beauty Unbound is to find your own beauty in that untetheredness, and Shakti
Okay.
Unbound is to stand in your own power and yet be untethered. So the
Yes.
retreats are designed around that. I have to say, I'm really guided by inspiration these days. So I am right now debating, to be honest with you. I wanted to do one here in the United States first and then do the one in Barcelona. I mean, I'm sorry, in Ibiza, like we
In
talked about.
Ibiza. Yes.
Yes.
Looking forward to that.
Yes. There's a part of me now that is questioning something for whatever reason. So I almost feel like I want to do it in Ibiza, and that'd be the first one.
Wow. Yeah,
Now
but
I
just,
spill I
I
spill the
mean,
beans because my logical mind says do it in America first because that's the country you live in. And for some reason, there's some battle going on within that in my intuition from my higher self that says, do it. Just go international, your first big one, and make a bang. And I like how that feels. So who knows? I mean, I'm not saying it's going to be this way, but in this moment, that's how I feel.
well, I'm the first one to support you to do it first time in Ibiza.
and
Absolutely. And you have a great crowd of teachers and helpers in Ibiza. So, I
I
mean,
know it
yes.
feels it feels right now more in alignment. So I'm working through it, and this is what I want to share with your audience. Like, we don't have to know the answers immediately. It's okay
No.
to just say, I don't know, but this is what I'm thinking for now. And I reserve the right to change my mind because I might.
Of
Who
course,
knows?
and as life unfolds, things can change.
Mhm.
And I think you should just go for your gut feeling. But for the
You just want
listeners,
me to do it in Ibiza.
yes, of course. But this will be in September, October, or will it be next year, spring?
Probably next year in spring. So,
Yeah.
is what we're thinking. So I don't know. It just feels really so. This is one thing I've noticed for me in my life, and I'd love to share this with all your viewers. And I think it depends very much on your personality type and your human design, probably. But for me, when I think something with my head, but I don't feel really good about it in my body, that means we're at an impasse. All systems are not go, meaning I got to step back. And for whatever reason, I've had that going on for a while, thinking about doing it here in the United States.
Hmm.
What resonated with me was doing more workshops
Yeah.
across the US, like 2-day immersive workshops to help, women identify better with self and their wealth and their health and all of that. So that really feels good, mind and gut. So I'm like, maybe I'm just going to do that and in the US. And then, I feel like from there, I'm going to have this wonderful community of women, plus the beautiful community of women I already have in Barcelona. That just feels so good.
Yes. And I mean, this is also how you work as a coach. These workshops are with groups, but you also do one-on-one coachings, right?
I do. And that is something that I'm doing less and less of because I'm feeling now inspired and called to do more of these workshops. So I'm not saying that I don't take on any clients. I do, but I would say I've become increasingly selective about the one-on-one clients because now I feel called to do the workshops and spread them all over the country. I love traveling. I have friends all over this country that I would love to go visit them and do workshops in certain different towns. Like, how fun is that?
Sounds amazing to me. Well, you have an audience here that is waiting for you.
Yay!
So,
And I'm going to have to come back out there again because I can't wait. I loved my visit there so much. I didn't really want to leave, but I was excited to come back.
Yeah, maybe you can come and just do a little quick stop and do some workshop to get warmed up.
I was thinking that
Doesn't
too, because I think
doesn't have
that
to be a whole retreat immediately.
that's what I was thinking. I actually thought about that. And you and I haven't even had a chance to discuss this. We'll just discuss this live on the podcast. But I feel like I love the idea of that, just doing a 2-day workshop in Barcelona for the people there. And this is what I love. When you align yourself and your work with who you are, it's amazing the joy that comes from it. Because one thing I don't resonate with is being stuck in any way. So the workshops allow me to be around all the people that I love and enjoy all over this country, and connect with them, connect with people they may know or whatever, expand all this community quicker, because now I'm going all over the place. So now if I do, when I do the retreat, I've got women maybe connecting from all over the US instead of just small pockets. Like, I love the way that feels.
Do you also do online? Virtual?
Yeah, I do with the
Workshops?
one-on-one and the group coaching, I do online, but I found that, I'm again, I feel like I am working through that. I do like doing both, and I'm really selective about who I work with. I love women who want to have big goals and, don't quite know how to get there. Those are my exactly perfect clients. They're super excited. They're doing this, but they want to get here, and they want to know how to get there in the most healthiest way possible.
So you work a lot with behavior patterns and how to change them.
Exactly. With if their fears that arise, self-doubt, if there are relationship issues that start to come up, health issues that arise, or how do they maintain this beautiful balance and go through this journey in the most graceful, easy way possible. So that's my goal.
That's the goal. And what about future in other ways? How do you see the future for you? Going on working with people like this in workshops and retreats?
Probably
would
globally,
you like to
really.
start something like with also like a base in San Diego, some center of yours, like you have done that before with the medical thing?
So I've thought about that, because I love the idea of having like a wellness place here. But right where I live, there's a very large place called the Self-Realization Fellowship. So it already exists. I mean, so I don't know that I feel called to do that right now, because there's a place nearby that exists. But I love the idea of bringing the world together.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just love that feeling, how that feels for me. Like, every time I meet more and more international people, I had a gentleman on my show a couple of weeks ago, and he's from Germany, and we're going to talking about working and doing some things together, possibly. I love the way that feels for me.
Well, I can resonate with that. I understand you.
Yeah.
The world got so much smaller as well. So we can connect so easily, first virtually, of course, and then that connection leads to something that maybe you do a guest visit there in Germany and work there. And I love the idea of that.
Yeah.
Really.
And look at how easy it is to communicate. I mean, we are, time differences, and we've stayed in touch really well.
Yes,
despite
we did.
all of that.
Yeah. So just keep on working with your intuition, because you have a strong one. What is your best practices to keep yourself in balance mentally and physically? You mentioned Krav Maga before.
Yeah, so I do that because it releases a lot of like aggression and whatever. I clearly have been a warrior in a past life, because there's something about that I just love. So I need that to like get my physical, energy out. It's not even just aggression. So I have a lot of energy. Sometimes it has to come out somewhere. And this is the healthiest way. So that is massive for me. Exercise is huge. Self-care, really just taking care of myself. I wake up every morning, and, I'm not in a relationship right now. So it's my job to keep myself happy. And that will translate beautifully into a relationship when the right one shows up. And I say, what do I need instead of what
never give up that self-care anyway.
Yeah. So I ask myself, what do I need to make my day a little extra special today?
Yeah.
So every day it's a different
meditation or do you yeah.
Yes, I meditate. I love watching spiritual videos on YouTube, just hearing different viewpoints on things, connecting with people that are like-minded, cuddle time with my puppy. There's so many different
Yeah.
things that I do to ground myself. And interestingly, it's never the same thing every day. Different days, I feel like I'm called to different things.
Yeah, but those things that you mentioned, it's the things that bring you
Hmm.
to the present moment, which
Right.
is all we have, you know?
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's good to be
Basically,
able to take yourself back to now, because we are so much in the past and in the future with our agendas and busy lives. So I do also recommend that kind of daily mindful. Also, if you have a pet, for example, just to pet your little dog and feel them, and it's like, or kids or whatever it is,
yeah.
it really brings you to the present.
It really does. And they're just pure energy,
Yeah.
they just are so lovingly unconditional. And yeah, I mean, I'm so glad I have him. I don't even really know what I'd do without him, but what a blessing. Like I thought it would be a lot of work, and it is work, but he's a really great dog and a great companion for me. So works out great.
Yeah, dogs
Everybody
are
should have
special.
one.
Yeah, I think so too. And what is the legacy you want to leave in this world, if you think about that from a higher
I
perspective?
see a world when I'm gone. I see a world where women rise up to be the best version of themselves, stand in their power. And because of that, there's harmony amongst the sexes. Right now, I just feel like it's either, like we're fighting against each other half the time. Women are saying terrible things about men, men are saying terrible things about women. And I hate to see that in the world. I mean, we can stand in our own power and be respectful towards one another. We, unlike what sometimes the feminists will say, we don't need men, and men are like, we don't need women. All
Yeah,
these things
no,
are the most silliest thing in the world,
two
because we all,
extremes.
yeah, two extremes. We all need each other. We need other human beings. We need romantic partners, whatever it is. We need men, we need women. And all we need to make it a better world is harmony between the two
Yes.
sexes. That's it. Simple.
And also to ask the question, like, the question is, who are we? And recognize that we are also they. Because we
Yeah.
are multitudes. We are not single entities.
Right.
Because
Right.
I was just, you made me think about that, because I
No,
mean,
it's true.
also how intelligence, it's shaped from relationships. We have this thing to say, I'm intelligent, but without the other persons, the intelligence doesn't exist.
Right. Right. And what if we thought about it like I'm doing now? Is every person that comes into my life is either meant to teach me something about me, or, maybe they're meant to stay in my life. I don't know which one it is. And it's okay to just live in the moment, enjoy the process, and not really think about things needing to be forever all the time. Nothing is
No,
forever
exactly.
anyway.
And I've welcomed lately also that I recognize when people are triggering me, that they are actually divine messengers.
Oh, I love that.
That,
Divine
yeah.
messengers. I like that.
And so I thank them, because it's opening up a portals to look a little bit beyond, why do I have this feeling with that person, and why do I have, because it's all about me and not about the other.
Hmm. Yeah.
So
We learn so much from the people that trigger us.
yes, we do, but it's also so amazing, I think, when you connect with somebody like we did, and you feel like, wow, it's such a strong connection. Even if you're over in the States now, we text each other sometimes, and we just connect and talk about, like, the day was yesterday, you were here.
Hmm.
And that is
Yeah.
so nice too.
That
That
is so
feeling of
nice.
connection.
It's so, like, it's not as common as, I'd like it to be, but it's becoming more common. I feel like the right people are just, I'm finding them, they're finding me. I mean,
Yeah.
from the weirdest situations, like things I would never have expected to happen. I mean, I never felt like I would meet somebody and like have such a great friendship and continue it over the last, it's been easily 6 months since, or more since I left. But yeah, it's probably been 6, 7 months.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
feel like it was yesterday. I can't wait to come back personally. So I love the workshop idea of doing it. It gives me a reason to go there.
Yes, and there is so many also new persons that comes in my life now with all these inner development goals events that I'm doing, that I would love to present you to them. And
Oh, that'd be
it's to find these like-minded people and do things and create opportunity together. That's when we
yeah.
can really do some magic.
Yeah, 100%. And I knew the minute I met you, even though not knowing that much about you or what you did, there was just some knowing of there's alignment here. I knew that much. And I said, I will find out the rest later, but I feel like there's alignment here.
Yes, and it's not a casuality. This is synchronicity. This is meant to
100%.
be.
Yes.
Okay, Kalpana, I'm so happy that you wanted to be on the Conscious podcast, and that sitting there in San Diego, you will come live here in Barcelona when this is rolling out. I like that idea too, that there are no limits. Sky is the limit. So thank you from the heart to be on the podcast. And I'm just looking forward to continuously have a lot of contact with you. And thank you for the great work you're doing for all women that needs to step into their higher self and higher power.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been an absolute pleasure. And I hope you have a fabulous rest of the day.
Thank you. You have a fabulous rest of the day. Mine, I only have an evening now.
Oh, true. I always forget.
You're in the morning.
Well, till next time.
Yes, till next time.